This is ScreenView with Peter Van, Aimee Morgan, and John Denny. Fan us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at ScreenView Show, and join in on the conversation on Google+.
Hello and welcome to ScreenView, episode 22. We are back from I went on vacation, John went on vacation, Aimee went on vacation.
I went on vacation, sort of, not really.
Mental vacation. That works.
Mental vacation. There you go.
No,
Hey, I'm always on a mental vacation.
Why shouldn't you be?
Who made the most money at the box office this weekend?
That's just how it goes, man.
Yeah, that is how life works. Mental vacations are always good. You gotta check out once in a while. But
and then sometimes check out once in a while.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So let's see. Box office. Hunger Games. Well, oddly enough, this didn't really move anywhere. The last time we were on, the Hunger Games was on top, and we're back, and Hunger Games is still on top. So
I'm surprised that it's still on top.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Only because it's not like there's no new movies coming out, and there has been quite a few movies come out in the past couple weeks.
Yeah.
So just I figured with the spread of people going to see new movies that it would drop, at least to 2 or 3, but
yeah,
people are still going.
I guess it's just people keep going back, and they're just loving it.
Yep.
I guess.
I finally saw it.
Yeah, you did. So we'll definitely talk about that a little later. The Three Stooges opened and only made $17 million. So
That's pretty good. It's a lot more than I thought it would make.
yeah, I guess.
They didn't do a whole lot of advertising. I mean,
yeah.
the the week up to it coming out, they did a lot of advertising, but like before that, it was like, oh, they're actually doing that Three Stooges movie, and it was like, and then all of a sudden it was like, yeah, Three Stooges. So
yeah,
I don't know. I think they did. That's pretty good. They're gonna make back the $30 million.
Yeah, I had such high hopes for that movie, and then it didn't really appeal to me.
Yeah,
So.
I'm not really into the Three Stooges either. I mean, I like the original, but I don't like. I wasn't really enthusiastic about what I was seeing with the Three Stooges movie.
Yeah, exactly.
I never had high hopes for it, but
I had high hopes when they were going to cast Jim Carrey as one of the Three Stooges, I guess.
It went through so many changes. I mean, it was going to be Jim Carrey and Sean Penn and Benicio del Toro.
Yeah,
and
ridiculous.
Now they have the guy
Sasso.
from Will and Grace and the guy from Mad TV.
Sean Hayes, Will
and
Sasso,
the guy who I have no idea who he is.
Some other guy.
Yeah. So I mean, the commercials make it look like a Mad TV sketch about the Three Stooges.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when I think about Mad TV, I think about Will Sasso, or vice versa. When I see Will Sasso, I think Mad TV.
Yeah.
So, to me, every time I see a commercial for it, it's like, oh, Mad TV.
Yeah.
Oh, Three Stooges, I mean. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So The Cabin in the Woods, I think this is like a scary movie, I guess. They didn't really advertise this movie very much either. Number 3,
No.
Titanic 3D made $11 million, which is crazy.
On top of the $33 million it made last week.
Yeah. So it's clearly they're going to keep making a bunch, converting James Cameron movies into 3D.
I don't get it, because he was such a big proponent about not converting old movies into 3D.
Yeah, but there were interviews with him that said, I've been trying to convert Titanic into 3D since 2005, but we just never had the technology until now.
Well, then how come in 2009 or 2010 he was just that's when he said you shouldn't convert old movies into 3D because it doesn't work.
Oh, I don't know.
It just, I don't know. It rings as untrue when you hear him say one thing and then he does the complete opposite
he sort of defended it. But I can't exactly remember what his exact words were.
And it's not as though Titanic is a typical action movie where there are things jumping out at the screen or, I mean, whose dream is it to pretend that you're on a sinking ship in the middle of the North Atlantic Ocean?
Although,
Do you want to feel like that?
although I have a very funny story. Spoiler alert, in case you haven't seen Titanic yet, in the scene where Kate Winslet is nude, and they show her nude, and he's like drawing her or whatever, they edited that specific part out because in China, because they were afraid that that it was so real that they would kind of like try to grab.
Get out of here!
Oh my God!
No way!
Really? Come on.
It's China. What not a surprise. Oh. But yeah, that's the truth. It's kind of weird, isn't it?
Okay, that's odd.
Yeah.
That's
So
odd.
yeah, number 5, American Reunion, made $10 million. It I guess since I've been gone, it made 27 last week. So it's well on its way to make its money back, which only cost $50 million because all the people that are in it just don't have careers. So
Yeah, pretty much, except for Sean William Scott, oddly enough.
yeah, and Allison Hannigan too.
Actually, one of the minor characters has a more major career than everyone else.
Yeah.
What's his name? John Cho?
Oh yeah, and Allison Hannigan is on How I Met Your Mother. So
yeah.
she's doing pretty well for us, but nobody else really.
Yeah.
The Wrath of the Titans continues its downturn. It appears.
I was going to say it's not gonna debunk Hunger Games.
Yeah, it's not gonna make it to 150 either. It's gonna lose.
No.
Mirror Mirror, which is the one of 2 Snow Knight films. 21 Jump Street's still up there, so that's promising. 120 million already. Holy crap.
Well, it's been out for over a month.
Yeah, but it made a lot. I mean,
It made a lot the first couple weekends it was out, and then the Hunger Games came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a Lockout, which actually came out this week, but in 2,300 theaters, but only made $6 million.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that.
It was definitely it looked interesting, but it was definitely it appeared to be marketed a little oddly. So I guess that's why.
I think that's like that's a movie that a lot of people look at and say, "Oh, I'll wait for a DVD."
Yeah, that's true. And then number 10 is The Lorax, which is still on here.
I can't believe that's still in the top 10.
This movie apparently nobody
It's
expected.
holding on.
Yeah, nobody expected this movie to make any money, and it somehow just keeps making money. So, opening this weekend is Chimpanzee, which is a documentary about, you guessed it, chimpanzees.
Chimpanzees, yeah.
And The Lucky One. I'm very interested in this one. It's a Nicholas Sparks movie, another movie based on Nicholas Sparks' book.
God knows it's gonna have a depressing ending.
Zac Efron dies at the end. I don't know.
That's like every one of his movies is like everything's going fine, and then you find out something horrible happens to one of the characters.
Lightning strikes at the beach. It actually turns out that The Notebook and The Lucky One are in the same timeline, so the lightning that struck actually killed him or something like that.
I never actually saw The Notebook.
No, I never saw it either.
Doesn't sound like it.
It's doing pretty well though, at 75% so far, so people are liking it. And then a Steve Harvey book called Think Like a Man. It's based on the Steve Harvey book. Will also be out. So this weekend sounds spectacular. But in a couple weeks, what will be spectacular is the Avengers, because apparently it is tracking north of $150 million.
I should hope so.
Opening weekend, which is generating bigger pre-release interest than The Dark Knight or The Hunger Games.
What's its budget?
Wow.
Do you know?
The Avengers? I don't know. We can find out, I'm sure. It's probably like 200
I'm just curious. Yeah,
I'd say it's 200 mil.
I would say somewhere around 200 million. I should hope it would open somewhere around 150 to 175 million dollars.
Yeah.
I can imagine people are going to be like, "No, I don't want to see it." You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if since the other Marvel films have done so well, you would kind of, believe that they would be okay with this with wanting to see this movie. So
I heard the Hulk in it is very much better than the Hulk in the other 2 movies.
like
Well, of
design?
course, right?
Like,
They've learned from their mistakes from the last ones, right?
You mean like the design of the Hulk, or what do you mean?
Just the character himself.
Really?
Yeah, the way he acts. I mean,
That's good.
I really liked The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone liked Hulk. The Ang Lee version.
Right. Yeah. I don't think anybody liked it in retrospect. Yeah.
So, that's one of the things that I heard from somebody who went to go see a pre-screening of it.
Wow. Cool. Well, that's good. That's good to know.
I mean, on top of all the other like fantastic stuff he said about it, but on top of that, the Hulk is much better character.
Yeah. And
good.
the Avengers cost $220 million to make.
220?
Yeah. Which kind of makes sense. There's a lot of like big actors and a lot of big set pieces, things like that. So that's not a bad budget.
Action pieces, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this apparently it's generating more pre-release buzz than the Hunger Games as well as The Dark Knight. Total awareness is 85%, which means the people that they surveyed, 85% of the people they surveyed said, "I know what this movie is and what it's about." Which is
Wow.
Okay.
I mean, they've been releasing clips
Well,
like mad too.
And know that it's about Avengers, or no? Oh, I know the whole plot, and I can reveal everything and how it's going to end up.
No, I think they just know that it's
Just know what it is. It's like, oh, I know what Avengers is. Yeah, it's that one superhero show that I can't wait to see.
How could it be? How could it have a better tracking than the Dark Knight? Dark Knight Returns. I feel like more people are like.
No, this is the Dark Knight. So this is.
Oh, not the third one, the second one.
Yeah. Not the one that's coming out now.
I gotcha.
Soon. This year? Yeah. But yeah.
So they're comparing it to when that one came out, or knowing what that is, or
yeah.
Okay, all right, yeah.
So it turns out that Gary Ross will not direct the second Hunger Games movie, which is called Catching Fire, because they're going to call it Hunger Games Catching Fire.
That went back and forth a couple times, actually.
What?
That, like, I read an article and it was like, Gary Ross is not going to direct Hunger Games 2. And then, like, a day later it said, Gary Ross is directing Hunger Games 2.
Yeah.
And then, like, later that day it was like, Gary Ross not directing Hunger Games 2. And then the next day it was like, just kidding, he is directing. And then now it's like, now he's not.
Yeah.
No, we're absolutely positive this time he's not directing it.
Yeah, he released a statement saying that there's a lot of time pressures and things like that. And it turns, I read a report where apparently it turns out is that Fox wants to shoot the X-Men First Class sequel in January, which means they need to, if they want Catching Fire to come out, I think it's like next year, I believe, or next year,
something like that,
like summer of next year or something like that. Excuse me. They have to film by August, and what
does that have to do with Gary Ross?
Gary Ross is directing the second movie. He's going to direct
the second X-Men movie.
No. He's directing Catching Fire, and the First Class film.
Didn't you just say he wasn't?
Well,
hold on a second.
Okay, let's take a step back.
Back up a little.
When Gary Ross was directing the movie.
Right. Okay.
And
I get what you're saying.
So he would have had to. Yeah.
Yeah, because Fox was like, we're going to shoot the First Class sequel in January, and they need Jennifer Lawrence because she was Mystique, right? I think. I still haven't seen that.
Yes.
But she was Mystique, so they're like, we need her. And because no, I haven't. because she signed that contract prior to the Hunger Games, then they have precedence over her. So even though they may not film in January, they say we want to film in January. And they're like, okay, well, in order to get her in time, then we're going to have to film in August. And Gary Ross is like, I'm not comfortable with that. And then Fox was unwilling to budge from January. So...
Don't you think he should make time for a movie that will probably make his career?
I think it already made his career.
But, I mean, shouldn't he keep directing these movies?
Right. I don't know. Maybe he just feels that it's not going to be a good movie if he rushes it. So he decided not to do it.
Well, maybe he's got something else he's got going on and he just can't do it that fast. So
maybe he's just
and I'd rather that than anything else. Or if movies make themselves, whatever.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I'm not going to hypothesize what's best. If he doesn't feel like he's going to do it, I can respect that because at least, he wants to put himself into a movie and he wants to make it work. And if he doesn't think he can do it in time, that's understandable. Yeah. So it will be made. They will find somebody else, just as long as it's not Michael Bay. Because I was reading something and my husband sent me something. Hey, look, Michael Bay is going to do the next one of Hunger Games. I was like, no.
That would have been awesome.
Absolutely not. If he does that, he will destroy it.
The cornucopia would transform into an alien.
I was like, no, he'll just throw stuff out and put stuff random in. It's because for him, it makes sense to put this random stuff in. For the rest of us, we're like, no, that's not supposed to happen.
Yeah, and Liam Neeson would play.
Yeah.
He would play someone.
And everything will end with a big explosion, regardless of whether or not there's a third book or not.
Right. Well, somebody's got to die.
Well, everybody would die.
Right.
If it's not the main character saying, give me your face, it's something else, right?
Right, exactly.
They're all aliens! Oh!
That makes more sense. All right, so John, speaking of the Hunger Games, you finally decided to go, or your wife decided to go again and took you to see the movie. So why don't you, was it on track with what you thought was, what you expected from our previous discussion from our last episode?
Yes, yeah. I mean, the more that I thought about the movie after I saw it, the more disappointed I was.
Really?
And yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But only because, like, if you think about it, and I have been, they take this strong female character who all, like, girls are supposed to look up to, and she's supposed to be this antithesis of the girl from Twilight, and at the end of the movie, she's the girl from Twilight, because it doesn't matter from this point on if she wins the Hunger Games, if she lives, or if she dies. All the girls want to know, is she going to choose him, or is she going to choose him? And
no.
Well, that was always the subtext, even in the books, though.
But it was so, like, when you read the book, you know what she's thinking, and she's like, I never thought of this person that way, but, you know. Right. And it, like, I'm reading the books, and I'm saying, she doesn't care if she's going to hook up with him or hook up with him. But, like, as a girl going to see the movie, you're like, oh, I hope she, like, if you've never read the books, obviously, you're going to say, oh, I hope she ends up with PETA, or I hope she ends up with, I can't remember what the other guy's name is, yeah. No, it's like, and she barely does, like, I don't know. She barely does anything in the movie, I feel like. Like, everything is almost done for her. I don't know. I was disappointed in the characterization of her in the film.
Yeah, I think the fact that they moved a lot of, like, everything is exterior now from her mind, it loses a lot of her.
That's the problem with making a book that's written. Right. Was it in first person, third person?
First person.
First person.
This is the problem. What happens when you write a book from a first person point of view, and then you try to put it in a different media and make it relay the same thing? You end up having this detachment because you don't have the same inflections that you will get if you're in the character's head like you are in the book.
Yeah,
and there was a lot of, like, there was not enough explanation of anything. I feel like things kind of happened very fast.
They never
top of things.
They never explained the Hunger Games on itself. Like,
well, they never explained that they were hungry. They just showed her, like, they never said that hunting was illegal.
Right.
They showed a fence with a sign that said high voltage, and then they showed her grabbing the fence and going through it. So it's like, okay, I guess it's not illegal to go past that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then you're like, well, even if you say, okay, well, it must be illegal because she's not supposed to go past that fence. 10 minutes later, she's like, oh, I could have caught that deer and sold it to one of the cops.
Right.
So you're like, oh, what? You know?
Right. Yeah.
See, now I I haven't read the book, so these were all little things that I thought, well, okay. I didn't think too much about them, but now that you're actually pointing them out, I'm like going, oh yeah.
Yeah, it's because, I mean,
But it's because I didn't know a lot of the stuff that's going on. But at the same time, I also realized, because like my sister-in-law told me a lot about it, she says it basically gives you a small bite of a huge hole that you're not going to see in the movie. Which, understandably, you can't put everything in there, but...
If they wanted to, like, force the fact that they were hungry or starving, then why was she not, like, real thin? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She looks like a normal-sized teenage girl.
Right, everybody didn't look hungry. That's what...
They looked poor, though, at least.
They looked poor,
I mean, they looked
but
like Appalachia.
both of the guys that, like, Gail and Peter were both, like, ripped.
Yeah.
Well, they explained in the book why Peter was ripped, though. But Gail, yeah, not so much.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. You can lift a bag of flour, but they also didn't explain that in the book they said his family's a little bit more well off because they are bakers.
Yeah.
They didn't say that.
No.
I mean...
They also...
Well, they didn't have to really say that. It was kind of implied because he was part of the store.
Food, yeah.
You know.
I think the issue...
But they also they didn't explain that the black market was the black market and it wasn't supposed to be legal. Like, there's little things that they leave out, and it's just... I mean, to me, it takes apart from the story. It takes away from the story because everything that they do basically is supposed to be on the down low, where you're not, we don't want to get caught, we don't want to be in trouble, or whatever. But in the movie, it comes off as we can do whatever we want. It doesn't seem like they're oppressed in any way.
Right.
Other than the fact that they're...
Except for the Hunger Games
Hunger Games.
Right.
And it doesn't make any sense.
That was the next thing that I was going to say, is I didn't understand how it was that the only oppression that I saw basically was that they're really poor and everybody else is really, really rich. And they're basically forced to do these Hunger Games, and that's about it. And I was like, well, why haven't all these people just risen up against all of the people in the city then?
And they don't
there were little things that bothered me about when reading the book, I didn't get the impression that everyone in the Capitol dressed like a weirdo. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I that's what I got. I got that impression that...
And Steph said that because she was like, there's a part, and I'm not really spoiling anything, but there's a part in the third book where they hide out in a store in the Capitol, a clothing store in the Capitol. And in my mind, I just figured that they weren't going to be wearing a burlap sack. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were wearing clothes that normal people wore, not poor people clothes.
Right.
That's in my mind.
Yeah. It didn't appear that they were like as the people in the Capitol. You kind of expected to be even more. So you're saying like they kind of toned it down a bit more?
No. What I'm saying is I didn't expect everyone in the Capitol to be dressed like that.
Oh. The
way that they were with the pink hair, the big flashy or whatever. But then what confused me even further was that although everyone in the Capitol was dressed like that, the scientists who were working in the room were not dressed like that.
They didn't really put a lot of emphasis in those guys.
Did they live in the Capitol? Did they live in one of the districts? Are they fighting to kill their own kids? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
They because they're at work, they have to keep it simple.
Yeah, no, but
that's the only thing.
Dressed like a fruitcake.
They look like they're just dressed in like plastic like scrubs and stuff.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. It's little
things.
They
have to pat them down and make sure that they are actually really secure before they go into a secure room. Hey.
Yeah.
And
I'm just guessing here. I'm gonna just throwing it out.
Right. And it's little things like that to me, which, like you were saying before, that he doesn't want to feel rushed making a movie, and maybe that's not why he's not doing it. It felt like they took this book and rushed it into a movie, and like left out things that people who read the books are confused about, or don't really understand why they left it out of the movie.
Right.
So
yeah.
I mean, I think that if they had taken their time and said, hey, we have a real opportunity now to get people to get away from the Twilight fiasco, and look how
look at something dystopia-ish.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
and at the end it's going to be Team PETA and Team Gale, as opposed to Team
Right.
Vampire and Team Werewolf. So
Right.
I'm disappointed, and I really don't want to see the other two movies now.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. I think one of the things that they definitely left out that shouldn't have been left out is the explanation of what the reaping was about. Like they didn't explain that part, and I guess they didn't feel that it was necessary. I'm not sure, but the other thing that they had an issue with is that movie was already 2 hours and 20 minutes long, and for the audience that they're trying to aim for, that's already a pretty long movie.
Yeah.
And 2 hours and 20 minutes in its own is
Right.
a long movie. So I think what may have been the issue is we have to tell this whole book because we can't end it in the middle of it because you're just literally be ending it in the middle of the games. So they had to cram all of this stuff into it. And they had to end it, which it ended even more abruptly than the book ended, which is kind of
Right.
Wow.
and the book was already pretty abrupt. It just kind of didn't have an ending.
Right.
It should have been turn to book 2 is what it should have said at the end of the first book. And so it was the length, and it was just the audience and things like that definitely factored into what their reasonings for that. And it was also not a very expensive movie, so I guess they had to cut back on some stuff, I guess.
Well, maybe that's the reason why, is maybe they did kind of rush on this one, and they didn't think it was going to do that great. But honestly, they made a lot before with the amount of people that were buying the tickets before they actually came out with it. I think that probably surprised them enough to go, oh, wow, they really actually were going to really like this, and it was going to be a hit out of the ballpark to begin with. So, maybe that's intimidating for a person that is like, oh, I have to put more energy into that. I don't think I want to do that.
Yeah.
And what
You never
bothers me
know.
even more is that the writer of the book, Suzanne Collins, was a writer on the screenplay also.
Yeah.
So,
that's a touch and go. You never know what's going to happen when you have things like that.
You'd think obviously she sold the rights to the movie, but they obviously wanted her input on what they should do, so she could have,
Yeah. Or maybe because they already planned this to be a trilogy at least, maybe Suzanne Collins said, okay, this can be explained in another movie when we have more time or something like that. And then they said, right before the first movie was even due, they said, this is probably going to be a 4-movie franchise. Because there's just... Yeah, but in what we're all saying is that they've just left out so much stuff to cram it all in. It probably makes a bit more sense to drag some things out a little bit, maybe. I mean, to explain some of the important stuff, like the reaping, or
they've already done it. Why would they go back and explain something from the first movie in the second movie?
They might explain. I don't know. Maybe they'll sit down and talk about it over tea once they're rich. Because
I don't know.
Rich,
If I wrote
they have
a
nothing
book,
else better to do now.
If I wrote a book and sold it to a company to make a movie, and they wanted me to be a screenwriter on it, and I had some ideas, and they kind of went in a different direction, I would say, take my name off of it.
Right.
Like Alan Moore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're gonna mess with my product that much, then I don't want to be any part of it.
I mean,
except
she might
that
have
it's based
endorsed
on my
it.
book.
You don't know. She might have endorsed it.
I know, and I have a hard
Depends on
time.
how much time she put into it. So
I don't know.
Any writer that writes a book, the last thing that they're going to do is thinking, oh, I'm going to have to write a screenplay of this one day. They're just writing the story.
Right.
Yeah.
And no, I did look it up real quick. Hunger Games actually came out pretty quick. Hunger Games, the first, the second, and the third book, they all went year after. First year came out 2008, then 2009, 2010. I don't know if you guys know about some of the lead time of writing this. I bet you that she had the whole thing written before she got it out there. Yeah. They probably put out the first book, said, we'll wait and see how it goes. I very much doubt that she probably pitched it as a trilogy.
No.
She probably pitched it as one, saw how well it went. They said, okay, we want another one. And she said, oh, it just so happens that I have it written. So here you go. We can start.
No, I wholeheartedly agree with you, because the way it ends, the first book ends and the second book ends, it was literally, it was like a to be continued kind of thing. So it was probably like, okay, this book, these things, the way you're writing it, it's targeted towards a very certain audience. So why don't we chop it up? And it's very like a Stieg Larsson, like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo kind of feel to it, like the Millennium Trilogy, where he wrote all of them and then pitched the books.
But I feel like with the Stieg Larsson, at least with the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, that was its own. That could have been the end of the story.
I kind of wanted it to be, but okay.
So so did I. I believe that the second 2 books in that series are totally unnecessary.
Yeah.
But they could have said the end and that's it. But he already had 2 other books written, or 1 other book written, in my opinion, and they stretched it into 2.
But yeah, you're probably right, Aimee. It was probably she wrote it as one gigantic book, a 1,000-page book, and then it became a trilogy, just by luck because it sold.
I walked out of the theater saying that was a good movie. I enjoyed it, and then the more I thought about it, I was like, but they really left out a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Which is kind of understandable because, again, from what it sounds like, even in the first book, they don't even finish the Hunger Game in the first book, that it continues into the second, or does it actually?
No, they finished the Hunger Game in the second book, but at the very end, you saw the movie, right, Aimee?
I saw the movie, yeah.
At the end of the book, they're on the train, and her trainer, Haymitch, goes, hey, you just made everyone mad at you, and then it was the end. And that was it. And then the next book was when they get to the Capitol, and the president's like, you 2 are winners, and blah, 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 blah. And he was like, you better tell everyone that you're in love with him, and that's why you were willing to kill yourself. And they didn't go into any of that stuff in the first book.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, and they put it all in the first.
They had to shove it all in there to give some sort of ending to it, yeah. And I think Aimee...
movie. Okay, wow.
There we go.
That's where they...
Sorry, you froze there for a second. We were a little...
Darn Skype, concerned. It's been... Yeah. It's been bothering me all day, so...
That's all right.
But yeah...
What was that, Aimee? We
Uh-oh.
I lost you guys for a minute too. Sorry.
Okay.
Your mouth is moving, but I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, you're like fast forwarded, and it was like, what's happening? What's going on?
When I saw you guys did the same thing, so I just stopped.
Okay.
Okay. Well, if anything, if the talk, it's doing it again.
We can hear you. I can hear you.
Is it? Okay, all right. Sorry. I just saw the faces moving again and nothing coming out. Okay, so if anything, Hunger Games is made me interested in the book, and so I've got it on audio. I'm going to start listening to it.
Nice.
So.
Look, I mean, the books are well written, I feel, and they do a good. Obviously, they explain everything that you need to know. I just feel like I think that you'll read the books or listen to it on your audio books and then say, oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah. I guess like if you look at it the other way, you
even like little things, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's always whenever you do adapt books into films, it always happens.
Obviously, when you adapt any book into any film, they can't put everything in because it's too much. Unless you have one book, you're going to make 2 or 3 movies. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But or a miniseries. But I feel like with this, it's like they were like, we have to capture the kids' attention, and that's like really what they were focused on, rather than telling a complete story.
Yeah.
What I will expect is that the second movie better be better than the first. So, hopefully. I mean, I'll probably come down harder on the second movie than I will the first, because if they don't clean up some of the stuff that they're having problems with, yeah, they're definitely gonna, if they drop the ball with the second, it's gonna be not good.
Yeah. I was thinking that at first, like, oh, I'm willing to, because it was already planned to be a trilogy, I'm kind of willing to bet, to let them, kind of see what they do with the next movie and see how they make up for it. But I understand at the same time, it's like, you shouldn't judge one movie as the possibility of what will happen next, so. But good, so John didn't like the movie.
I liked it as a pure, like, action movie going to see a movie about kids being forced to kill each other, but as a plot-driven story, it didn't make a whole lot of sense.
Right. Yeah. I think in terms of, I mean, the book itself is only like 350 pages, I think, and
Yeah.
they definitely crammed a lot of stuff in.
Less than that on my Nook.
Right. Whatever. It's no pages. One screen.
Yeah.
But all right, well, that's good to know, John. Very good. Thank you for sharing. And I think the last thing we will. This is kind of like I guess a catch up from our previous episode. Is that how Aimee apparently has been continuing to go through Mad Men? So I want to see if you've enjoyed it any further than you
I'm
previously.
still having a hard time getting through it. It's like pulling teeth. I'm like,
I honestly can't believe you're still watching it.
really? Okay.
Yeah,
wow.
I mean,
I'm just that devoted to this podcast.
you're having a much harder time. I feel having a much harder time watching it than I did. Not that I had a hard time watching it, but it was just we would get the DVDs like once every couple weeks, and then it was like, oh, we gotta watch Mad Men, or we're not gonna get another movie for another 2 weeks.
That was your motivation. We need another disc.
Yeah. So hey, I mean, I commend you for putting up with it. I'm surprised. I gotta say, I'm surprised you're still going.
I'm probably at episode 5 in the second season. I'm going. I've been really busy for the last couple of days, so I haven't had a chance to watch it. And then I go, Mad Men, Game of Thrones. Mad Men.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
What's going on? And
know that I'm like about, and then what I know I'm definitely gonna like. So we're gonna go with it. Yeah.
What's going on in Mad Men?
I'm at the part where I think the last episode I listened to, the Peggy. You find out about the child that she had. And there's like this little interest going on between her and the guy that the priest guy. And
Colin Hanks.
Colin Hanks. Yeah.
It was kind of nice to see him because I haven't seen him in a series for a while. So I thought, oh look, it's Colin Hanks. It's great. And
he was just a Dexter, so and a completely different role.
Yeah. You know, it was that actually kept me going a little bit because I thought, oh, I want to see where they take this. So I haven't seen the next one after that, but
he was a good character on Mad Men.
Yeah, he didn't do too bad. I don't know where they're going to take it, but there is definitely a hint of, oh, there might be an interest there. I thought, well, great, yeah, she's like so perfect for that role. She's the woman that just had the child out of wedlock, and she doesn't seem like the church-going girl. What's going on with that?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
What's going on with Don?
Don, he lost that client with the airport or the air
Mohawk, yeah. He had to get rid of him.
Bad for him for that, but then they had the American Airlines deal that didn't go through, and I thought, oh crap, he's gonna be not happy with the fact that okay, I lost Mohawk, and now we've lost Mohawk and American Airlines. It was just a promise of what might have been. And I'm like, wow, that would have made me mad. But other than that, I just got finished, I think, with the episode where he and his wife, like, they basically stay in all day and the kids bring them alcohol.
I think that's the best part where, like, where Don like teaches his daughter how to make like certain drinks.
Yeah, I thought, oh my gosh, you're letting these children handle alcohol, okay?
It's the 60s. I mean, it gets even worse later in the series where pregnant women are like smoking and drinking at the same time. Like sometimes both, sometimes with a cigarette in one hand and a drink in the other.
Yeah.
And as a mother, I'm sure that will make you grimace like to no end. If you make it that far, of course. But
yeah,
I have to say though, something happened in this weekend. Did you watch Sunday's episode yet, Pete?
Yes, I did.
Something happened in that episode that I've been waiting to happen for 5 years.
It was so fantastic. I lost it when I lost it at that one specific point, which I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about. But that was, oh my god, I was like on the floor. It was
good.
It was really good.
I was so happy.
Let's see. I'm really. I think one of my favorite episodes of season 2 is when Don goes to California.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
And they kind of show him being Dick Whitman and how he like just completely drops his Don Draper facade and just becomes Dick Whitman. And I think that was probably that was one of like the favorite story arcs that I really enjoyed. So that's later in the season. So I mean, you're
even though he becomes a Dick Whitman, like he can go back to being the Dick Whitman. There's parts of him that cannot stop being Don Draper.
Yeah.
Isn't he at that party where all the hippies are at and they're like smoking pot and
that was
drinking or whatever, and he's just like, he felt like you could see that he felt totally uncomfortable.
Yeah, he was totally uncomfortable. He was like, I don't know about this. Yeah, it's kind of weird. He's definitely a really odd character. Like, he judges people for things that he also does, and it's really bizarre. Yeah. But then again, I mean, nobody is perfect in the show, which is great because everybody's flawed in one way or another. And
multiple ways.
Yeah, and the thing about, I don't know if you believe this, Aimee, but everybody, it seems that, like, the central characters, they like to devote time to, like, each of these characters and, like, develop them more and more as you continue. Like, you're like, I want to know more about this person, or this person is crap. I don't really know anything about this person. And then, like, that episode, they, like, kind of explore their, their views a little more, so.
Most definitely. I have noticed that they're doing that. So I'm like, okay, well, like I said, I'll probably plow away bit by little bit.
That's really impressive. I mean, if you
can stick with it, I think that once they, like, towards the end of the third, it seems like so far away, but towards the end of the third season, when things start happening to all the characters at once, like one thing happens to all the characters.
Yeah, when crap hits the fan, that's when things...
So, I mean, that's sort of like, you see them kind of working together, and, figuring things out. It's like, oh, that's interesting. And was Lane Price in season 2 at all, or was he in season 3?
That's 3. That's season 3. But what I think is
whatever his name is from Fringe.
Yeah, Jared Harris.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so Jared Harris was like, it's really bizarre. I was watching like Mad Men, and then I was watching Fringe, and I was like, because I've been I've been catching up on so many shows, and then like Jared Harris is just everywhere. Just like, soon he's gonna show up in Game of Thrones.
He's following me! Stop me on TV!
Yeah, soon he's gonna show up in Game of Thrones as like some character, and just gonna be like, oh my god, he's everywhere.
So he's an observer.
Yeah,
he's an observer.
But yeah, Aimee, if you could stick with it, it definitely the show definitely gets stronger and stronger as it goes on.
Okay, good, because like there's only so much alcohol and smoking being taken. Like, they always have a drink and a cigarette. Woo!
The smoking and the drinking happens so often that it just becomes like background.
Yeah. And that's actually one of the biggest complaints was like in the Playboy Club and things like that, and it didn't happen, and that took place in the 60s when everybody drank and everybody smoked. It was like, wow, it's so obviously absent.
Right. And it's like in Mad Men, like, for instance, I come home from work and I take out my wallet and my cell phone and put it on the table. They come home from work and light up a cigarette and have a smoke.
Right.
It's just it's like second nature to those characters, and it's almost like you don't even notice it anymore.
Yeah.
Except for the one time when I was like, wait, isn't she pregnant?
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, she's doing it again. It's pretty bad. It's pretty awful. But okay, well, Aimee, hopefully you can learn to love Mad Men a little bit more. But
I can't promise that I'll get through it really fast, but I will continue to watch.
I mean,
so.
if you do somehow, feel that you can no longer take this punishment anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't feel forced to watch it because we enjoy it. If you say I can't do it anymore, then feel free to quit watching.
Then we'll just spoil the show left and right.
And then I'll be like, oh, I wish I could watch that.
Pete Campbell in the face.
Yeah. But
there's definitely people that I would like to see punched in the face, man.
Was Pete Campbell one of them?
Yeah, is Pete Campbell one of them?
Yes, he's such a...
It happens. Season 5.
Good. I'll hold out for season 5 then, man.
A boxing match.
In their office.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That sounds like fun. My gosh.
With the curtains drawn. Sorry, I'm just thinking about it. Okay. All right. Well, thank you both for doing a little bit more of a catch up. We are back now, so that's pretty good. We will we will be back next week. You can always catch us on. Feedback is always welcome at ScreenView@tfradio.net, and at ScreenView Show on Twitter. Or you can not contact us at all and just tell us we suck or something like that. Or you can
just don't listen. Yeah.
Yeah, just don't listen. If you don't have anything else good to say, don't say it at all. It'd be very nice of you. But all right, well.
Not on the internet.
Creative.
You've been listening to ScreenView. ScreenView is a radio-free Cybertron production. Visit us at tfradio.net for show notes and to subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on Twitter at tfradio for news and updates. Watch our live stream at tfradio.net/live. Join our Facebook fan page at facebook.com/tfradio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, TF Radio Network.
Outro music.
Or mail it to contact@tfradio.net. Copyright 2011, Radio Free Cybertron.
It did last time.
It did last time. It doesn't matter. I actually like it that way. I actually don't mind it. Because it's not loud enough
we
to
can
talk
continue
over.
to,
it's not loud
continue to
enough.
talk and,
I understand this is way off topic, but I can't believe they haven't levied any punishments on this guy from the Flyers series yet. I don't know if either of you have been watching the hockey playoffs.
No, I can't watch it. It's on cable. And it's on
the best game ever was on NBC on Sunday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Pretty sure it was.
I know.
No, I was actually catching
Sucking
up on
your thumb?
Mad Men. I watched 3 episodes of Mad Men back to back.